Trump did this huge fucking event. This is really comes as no surprise to anybody, right? But he goes and he does this massive event with Putin.
This is a moment. It is a real moment.
There he
is.
See
President of the United States.
There he
first,
is. I can't believe I missed this yesterday. I'm so mad.
You know, let's just take a moment and listen. You can hear all the.
Did they have that watch your step thing before Biden? Did they have that? This is an honest question. I don't know.
Sound, but see and listen to this moment.
No, yes, I don't know. Oh, he got the red carpet. Wow. Oh. Every time you go offline, shit happens. I know, bro. I take a day off and this. Can you? How do I? Why couldn't they get the red carpet up to the airport, bro? Bro, come on. Are you kidding me? What is this? Somebody said he walks weird. Let me watch it. Doesn't seem weird. This seems normal. Maybe he watched Dune. And he was trying not to attract sandworms. Maybe that must have been it. That's the only I mean that would make sense, right? Sure. Yeah. The zigzags, he zigzags to avoid snipers now. I mean, wouldn't they just wait for this? I mean, if I was the sniper, I would just wait for him to stop moving. Like, I mean, he's not moving. Like, this. But you're an amateur? Yeah, I guess, but damn. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, there they are. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Here we go. Are they going to hold hands? Oh, come on. Come on. Close. So... What did he say? He said, that's for you? Oh, God. Wrong camera. See, I told you they didn't show it. I said they didn't show it. Trump just flew a B-2 stealth bomber over Putin's head. Look at this. Watch. That's for you. Oh, fuck. Yep, there we go, guys. Wow. Is that a threat? No, I don't really think so. I mean, like, you could say it's a threat. It's kind of like when Israel gave Trump the golden pager. It's like, what's going on here, right? I don't know about this. This is a little bit odd, right? But anyway, so he didn't. I don't think Putin had a very good time. Look at this.
Press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Press. Press. Thank you, press. Thank you,
What the
press.
fuck?
Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, press. Let's go.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
What a joke. Yeah, I know.
Press. Thank you, press.
So
Thank
too
you,
many
press.
women? Yeah, he's like, yeah, why are these people asking questions? What is this? And he said, don't worry, it's Americans, not Ukrainians. I don't know, man. He's used to decorum. I mean, I guess so. Yeah, bro. They just went in there and they started going rabid, man. They did. And anyway, let me see. This is as no surprise. Trump let Putin get in the car and drive Putin around. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Yep. Oh, there it is, guys. Will you look at this? Well, how about that? Yep, inside the beast, yeah. What are they gonna do? Yeah, nothing, right? Yeah, he just thinks this shit's funny. And what a show off? I guess so. Where's them talking? Yeah, here it is.
Уважаемый господин
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, our negotiations have been held in a constructive
Wow.
atmosphere of mutual respect. We have very thorough negotiations that were quite useful. I would like to thank once again my American counterpart for the proposal to travel out here to Alaska. It only makes sense that we've met here, because our countries, though separated by the oceans, are close neighbors. So when we've met, when I came out of the plane and I've said, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor. Very good to see you. In good health and to see you
I
alive."
guess, yeah, it's true. Because Alaska.
I think that is very neighborly. And I think that's some
He
kind
loves, bro,
words
he
that we
loves
can
it.
say to each other.
He loves
We're
it.
separated by the Strait of Bering, though there are two islands only between the Russian island and the U.S. island. They're only 4 kilometers apart. We're close neighbors, and it's a fact.
What the fuck is a
It's also
kilometer?
important that Alaska has to do with our common heritage, common history between Russia and the U.S., and
Yeah.
many positive events have to do with that territory. Still, there is tremendous cultural heritage back from the Russian America. For example, Orthodox churches and a lot of, more than 700 geographical names of Russian origin. During the Second World War, it was here in Alaska that was the origin of the legendary air bridge for the supply of military aircraft and other equipment under the Lend-Lease program. It was a dangerous and treacherous route over the vast
So he just talking.
emptiness of ice. However, the pilots of both countries did everything to bring closer the victory. They risked their lives and they gave it all for the common victory.
Yeah, I think Putin definitely looked good after this event. He definitely did, because he went to, like, you know, the different, you know, tombs of the people that were killed in World War II, that were Russians, that were there. He won. I would say that Putin came out of this looking better than Trump did. I think that a lot of people have, again, like, I mean, and people want a ceasefire. Did you get a ceasefire? No, we didn't. Okay, so Trump doesn't look good, right? Why? Because he didn't get the ceasefire. It's that simple. Yeah, that's it. It's a start. I think it's good that it happened. It's good that it happened, but definitely Putin looked better coming out of this, I would say, than Trump did. Sure. He didn't get anything? I don't know if that's true or not. What I'm assuming is going to happen is that, this is what I'm guessing. I think that Putin wants to control some of the areas in Ukraine that are more Russia, more Russian, I guess like culturally or ethnically or whatever you want to say it. He wants to take those parts of Ukraine back. And I think that, you know, Zelensky is going to meet Trump on, was it like Monday or something? Very clearly, Trump is going to try to convince Zelensky to give over those territories. I think that's what's going to happen. He won't stop. I'm not saying who says they're more Russian. Well, a lot of people do. I mean, obviously, like, aren't there some places in Ukraine where Russian is spoken actually quite commonly? That's my understanding, at least. Yeah, the census, yeah, exactly. And so Russia does, yeah, exactly. And so there's a spectrum of this, too. It's on the east? Yeah, obviously it's on the east because it's closer to Russia. Wow, what a shock.
Just in the city of Magadan in Russia, and there is a memorial there dedicated to the Russian and the U.S. pilots. And there are two flags, the U.S. flag and the Russian flag. And I know that here as well, there is such a memorial. There is a military burial place several kilometers away from here. The Soviet pilots that buried there who died during that dangerous mission. We're thankful to the citizens and the government of the U.S. for carefully taking care of their memory. I think that's very worthy and noble. We'll always remember other historical examples when our countries defeated common enemies together in the spirit of battle camaraderie and allyship, with supporting each other and facilitating each other. I'm sure that this heritage will help us rebuild and foster mutually beneficial and equal ties at this new stage, even during the hardest conditions. It is known that there have been no summits between Russia and the U.S. for 4 years, and that's a long time.
I didn't even know that.
This time was very hard for bilateral relations, and let's be frank, they've fallen to the lowest point since the Cold War. I think that's not benefiting our countries and the world as a whole. It is apparent that sooner or later we had to amend the situation to move on from the confrontation to dialogue. And in this case, a personal meeting between the heads of state has been long overdue. Naturally, under the condition of serious and painstaking work, this work has been done in general.
He's soft on Putin too much? I think a lot of people criticize Trump being soft on Putin, and I think that the only reason, like, I mean, if you were Trump, would you do that? I don't know, because I don't know all the details, but I would be inclined to think the answer to that is yes. I would do that. Why would I do that? What's the reason? Is because it would achieve a better outcome. It's the diplomacy route. Yeah, I think a lot of people want Trump to be super harsh with Putin, but the reality is that, Russia is a nuclear superpower. It's hard for us to really, like, we've already pulled a lot of the levers that we can to control their economy, like with sanctions and stuff. Now we could continue to sanction other countries like China or India or something like that because they're buying Russian energy. But that's like, now we're getting into friendly fire, and that's probably not, like, realistically, that's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. And so it's not conducive to making a deal. Exactly. Yeah, it's not going to achieve a goal. Being tough on Putin will not achieve any sort of like a real tangible goal, I don't think. I mean, people looked at like, oh, look at this picture of Obama and Putin, and Obama has this facial expression like, oh, wow, well, didn't Putin take Crimea while Obama was president? Yeah, so it doesn't really fucking matter, does it? So I wouldn't take it that seriously.
Me and President Trump have very good direct contact.
The European Union's hostile towards Putin and they've accomplished nothing? Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there's not really, I mean, obviously, like, what they've been doing hasn't been working, right? I mean, I think anybody can see that.
We've spoken multiple times. We spoke frankly on the phone. And special envoy of the president, Mr. Woodcock, traveled out to Russia several times. Our advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict, and his strive to get to the crux of the matter, to understand its history, is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation and
fundamental threats. I thought Trump already said Ukraine's not joining NATO. Like, what do you fucking want? What do you fucking want? Like, this is what, like, I don't even understand this.
said it multiple times, a brotherly nation, however strange it may sound in these conditions. We have the same roots, and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us, and terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. At the same time,
Stop bombing them. You want to stop it? Okay, then stop it. Then stop.
Чтобы украинское урегулированное село устойчивое и
долгосрочное
должны быть устранены все первопричины кризиса, которые говорили неоднократно. Обеспечен учет всех законных озабоченностей России, восстановлен справедливый баланс в сфере безопасности в Европе и мире в целом. Я согласен с президентом Трампом, он сегодня говорил об этом, что, безусловно, должна быть обеспечена и безопасность Украины. Конечно, мы готовы над этим работать.
You did not just say the security of Ukraine should be ensured. Are you really... Bro. Do you really? Oh my God. All right. Yeah, here we go.
Хочется надеяться, что достигнутые нами понимания позволят приблизиться к той цели и откроют дорогу к миру на Украине. Мы рассчитываем, что в Киеве и европейских столицах воспримут все это в конструктивном ключе и не станут чинить никаких препятствий, не будут предпринимать попыток за счет провокаций или закулисных интриг сорвать намечающийся прогресс.
Yeah.
Кстати, с приходом новой администрации США двусторонний товарооборот начал.
You know, like basically, so he's like giving Trump an out. He's like, well, if we keep doing it, it's going to be Europe's fault, not the United States' fault. Okay, so don't worry about it. You guys didn't. We're going to blame it on them. It's fine.
Our bilateral trade started to grow.
Носит пока такой символический характер, но
It's still very symbolic. Still, we have
говорю о том, что у нас много интересных.
It's just Russia only respects strength. Sucking up to him just makes you weak. I mean, European Union hasn't been sucking up to him. Like, Russia, like, can people just accept that this isn't a conflict, that there's like a dialogue option, that you're just going to like, okay, well, what if you say it this way? Is he going to stop the war? No, I don't think that there's a dialogue option, that they're all like, basically, imagine it's like an RPG and it's combat option, combat option, combat option. There isn't like a dialogue option here where it changes. Like, I'm not seeing this happening. Yeah, there's no speech checks. Yeah, there's not a speech check here. It's not going to work.
And as I said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that US and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the US can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible. And our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the US. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, the border between Russia and the US, there is a so-called
I don't think that there's like an ideological reason why we have to be against Russia. Like, that can't be resolved in the long term. I think that Russia and America, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, I think shared values there, not a tremendous amount, but I think there's more shared values there than I think many people would imagine. I don't think that there needs to be this ongoing rivalry, like, adversarial relationship we have with Russia. Like, this is really, I mean, when did the Cold War end? Like, fucking decades ago. Why are we still doing this? Why is this still going on? And I think that the reason why, this is my opinion, I think that a lot of the negativity and hostility towards places like the Middle East, towards Russia, and towards China, probably in that order, reverse order, you know, China being the biggest agitator, right? I think that these are, what's the word for it? These are like insecurities that are put and they're presented to the American people to make them buy into continuing the military-industrial complex. I think that this is really what's happening. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that we should get rid of the military, very clearly, right? But at the same time, I think that in a lot of cases, you know, like we can work with these countries a lot easier than we can work against them. I can see that. Yeah, I think so, right? I think that's what's happening here. And I feel like Russia, I mean, especially like, you know, like Russia is a very Christian Catholic country as far as I understand. I mean, like they share a lot of like, I would say like cultural like values in that regard. I mean, not everything, obviously. They're not Orthodox. Yeah, but it's Orthodox, not Catholic. Yeah, I know. What do you think's closer, Orthodox and Catholicism or Catholicism and Islam or Hinduism? I'd say Orthodox is a little bit closer, okay? Like, let's be honest. It's the same as anything else.
Dateline.
Где можно буквально перешагнуть
I think you can step over literally
that counts.
From
that counts
yesterday
for a lot.
into tomorrow.
Надеюсь, что у нас так и получится.
And I hope we'll succeed.
Everybody says people, not everybody, there's like 3 or 4 people saying I'm wrong. It's not. It is. Trust me. Like, again, this is always what happens. People don't, I think that the issue is that on the internet, there isn't as much of a emphasis put on religion because a lot of religious people aren't on the internet in the same way, right? You'd be surprised how much religion is a uniting force in the world. Like a tremendous amount of focus is put on religion in the world. And having the same religion as somebody, think about like, you know, how it is for, I don't know, like look at like the Middle East, right? I mean, like, yeah, they get in wars, but at the same time, like there's a commonality there. And I think it's true with Europe in a lot of cases too, with Christianity. It's very divisive, yeah.
В политической сфере. Я хотел бы поблагодарить господина Трампа за совместную работу, за доброжелательный и доверительный тон бесед. Главное, что с обеих сторон было настроено.
Religion is a powerful unifying identity, not between Shia and Sunni. You are right, and I think that that's also not completely true. Like, obviously, inside of every religion, there are different sects. But what I would argue is that those sects probably have more in common with each other than they do with outside religions. And if an outside force is a threat to them, they will probably work together in order to repel that outside force. That's my point that I'm making. It's common sense. Yeah, it's obvious.
It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about the prosperity of his nation, still understands that Russia has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during my last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague.
I saw this. Bro, he's actually talking shit about Biden. The crazy thing is that Trump, you know, I wonder if they were having a meeting and Trump was like, okay, you can't do... All right, you're not going to do a ceasefire. Can you at least say, so like this whole time I've been saying that like basically like this would not have happened if it was me. Can you at least go out there and just say that? Because like I've been saying this a lot, right? And like, because like if you say it, it's going to mean way more. And I mean, come on, can you at least give me something, man? Yeah, he started this. I don't think it's impossible that happened.
The situation should not be
после наступления, которые могут наступить тяжелые последствия в виде боевых действий. И прямо сказал, что это большая ошибка. Вот сегодня мы слышим, когда президент Трамп говорит, что если бы я был президентом, то войны бы не было. Я думаю, что так бы на самом деле случилось. Я подтверждаю это.
Man. You didn't get a ceasefire, but you did get a glaze. Man.
And confirm that.
Потому что в целом
I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact.
У меня есть все основания полагать, что двигаясь по этому пути, мы можем дойти и до, чем быстрее, тем лучше, до завершения конфликта на Украине. Благодарю вас за внимание.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I still think Putin looked better. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Putin definitely didn't relinquish any control over anything. And for the people that are in support in Russia of the Ukraine war, I think that Putin represented them in a way that they probably are happy with. I think that's probably true. I'm not sure if it's true, right? I mean, I can't read minds, but it seems that way. Why would he? I don't know, to get the sanctions off because he's losing millions of dollars in this war that's going nowhere, that, he's united, dozens of countries against him. He's probably losing favor with his own people as people are dying. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of reasons for Putin to want to end the war.
Much, Mr. President. That was
that's just
very
me.
Profound, and I will say that
very profound for you to agree with the thing that I've been saying. You are so right for agreeing with me.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration.
I think Ukraine's going to have to give up land to get this war over. I do. I don't think it should be like that, but I think it do be like that. Most likely, yeah. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I'm afraid so. How long will it be over? I don't know. Probably at least a month.
Who've come here, Scott.
It's so unfair to Ukraine.
John.
Well, of course it's unfair to Ukraine. Like, this is my position personally on the matter. I think that decision should be left up to Ukrainians. I don't think Americans should make that decision. I don't think Europeans should make that decision. Because the Ukrainians are the ones that are getting their homes destroyed, they're getting their cities bombed, and they're getting their people killed. If they think that it's too much and they're sick of fighting and they're willing to just make peace, give away some of these areas that are more Russian, like, coded or language or ethnicity or culturally Russian, give those areas away and basically cut their losses, I think that should be their prerogative to do it. They should be able to make that decision themselves. I cannot, think about the pinnacle, absolute peak of privilege that any of us here can have to tell them that we should make that decision or what that decision should be for them. I certainly would not be doing that. I absolutely would not. But I will say this. If they choose to continue to fight, I would still support Ukraine militarily and with United States support. I don't think that they should. But again, I don't have to cash that check. They do. Well, I guess we are cashing the checks, but they're the ones that are actually dying. So, I would fund the continuation for the war, but at the same time, I think that decision should not be my decision. Does that make sense? Fuck no. I'd only give defensive capabilities. That's it. Sure. No, that's what I mean. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that we should fund Ukraine to go bomb Russia. Only to fund Ukraine to protect itself. Obviously, 100%. You're totally right.
Cliff. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing
Is it not your decision since you are directly paying for it via taxes? Yes, but I don't think that my decision should, like, basically, I would support Ukraine's decision either way. Does that make sense? If Ukraine chose to end the war, I would not tell them, no, you should keep fighting. And if Ukraine chose to continue the war, I would say, okay, let's keep going. That's what I would say. It's literally that simple.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah.
We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And
this is just Trump glazing himself. Would you give Alaska back to Russia just because it used to be Russian territory? What does that have to do with anything? I think that a lot of people are thinking about this in terms of right and wrong. Get that stupid shit out of your head. Get that stupid fantasy, fake, moral Disney bullshit out of your mind. Delete the idea of right and wrong out of your head when you're discussing topics like this. It's very simple. Do you want more people to die or not? Period. That's it. It doesn't matter. Oh, but they shouldn't be doing this. Yep. And they are, though. And it's happening. So you either deal with it or more people die. That's it. It's simply it's a hard question. Exactly, yes. It's a very hard decision to make. Releasing land in a war is very different than taking land back after selling it. The Channer has a brainworm. Well, what I'm saying is that sometimes the right things don't always happen from the wrong situations. Yes, I know that. And there's no right and wrong in war. No, there's not. It doesn't matter. Like, in my opinion, I think that Ukraine is paying the price of Americans trying to, and Western forces and NATO, trying to encroach and make Russia less secure by establishing more bases closer to Russia, expanding NATO, and doing things that, in a lot of cases, I think makes Russia insecure. I think that's it. How? By building more bases around Russia, by adding more countries into NATO. Absolutely, I think that's true. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that it's okay for Russia to do it. That's retarded. Of course not. That doesn't mean, oh yeah, Russia, so they're justified. I understand the reasoning. I see why they're doing it. There's probably like 5 or 10 different reasons why they're doing it. I think that's a couple of them. But my point is, where I'm really trying to get at here, they are though, yeah, sure. But what my point is that I think that Ukraine is really a chess piece. And it's not either of the, I think the players are not, neither of the players on this board are Ukraine. I think Ukraine is a chess piece on the board. That's what it seems like is happening to me. Is that it's being leveraged by larger superpowers and effectively the people there are paying the price. It's just a pawn. Yeah, that's it. And so it seems that way. Yes, exactly. Zek's point is exactly what Russians told me as well. NATO's expansion and encroaching on borders closer to Moscow have been a massive reason for them. Yeah, and by the way, a reason is not an excuse. Me explaining why somebody does something, like when I say, oh, this guy killed somebody and ate their body because he was hungry, that doesn't mean that it's okay to do it because he was hungry. You should have gone to McDonald's. But it's just that's the reason why it happened. Would you be okay if we give Detroit to Russia if it ended the war? If we give Detroit to Russia? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they'd want Detroit. I feel like that'd be like a war crime for us to give them Detroit. I mean, I'd be like, yeah, it's like some Geneva Convention shit. Like, they don't want that. Why would they want that? Yeah, it's a bizarre analogy. Well, those are my favorite. That's what I do. And you guys see where I'm coming from with this? Yeah. You guys see where I'm at here? What about Russian encroachment on us as well? They bid Wagner bases all over Africa and Middle East. I mean, like, obviously you have the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, that's the biggest example that's, like, historically, right? I get it. I'm not saying this is a one-way street. But what I am saying is that from their perspective, I think that's the reason why. And I think that primarily Ukraine is the victim in this primarily. Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine is the victim. Now, you could say that NATO and Western forces aggressed on Russia, which caused Russia to aggress on Ukraine, but Russia is still the aggressor on Ukraine.
We look forward to that. We look
say.
forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like...
What's that face? Ah, jeez, yeah.
I think he's probably seen things...
Jeez, yeah, ooh.
...like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax.
Everybody knew it.
What was done was very criminal, but it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few.
Russians also openly assassinated people on foreign soil in very nasty ways. I would have never guessed that. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Few that are left, some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So,
he wants the
again,
land.
Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon, and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat.
Trump goes to Moscow. The next episode. If I was Trump, I would do it. I would. I'd do it.
On that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Instantly killed? I mean, they're not going to kill. What, you really think that they couldn't have killed? You really think that Russia couldn't have killed Trump if they wanted to? They could have probably figured out a way to do it. You think they'd really need to get him in Russia in order to be able to do that? Come on, be realistic, man.
Much.
But we all have nukes. Yeah, we all have nukes. They're not going to do that. They turn both directions. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's like, I mean, should we have we didn't kill Putin. He came over to the U.S. Right. I mean, that didn't happen. Like they're not going to shoot Trump whenever he goes over there. I know that's like the beginning of like the Call of Duty campaign or something like that. Like this is the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 7. Is that the president goes to Russia and they shoot the U.S. president? I mean, come on, guys, let's be real. And no, I think Trump probably should do that. He would go and, I think that if he thought it would make a difference, right, obviously, we'll see what happens. But that's basically it. I mean, overall, I would say that this went relatively well. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I definitely don't think that it was, like, amazing, right? It was not great. But, yeah, so he's going to talk to Zelensky. Let me see if I can find this here. And, here we go. Most importantly,
And I was very happy to hear him say, if I was president, that war would have never happened.
Mr. President.
And I was very happy to hear him say, if I was president, that war would have never happened.
That's right.
Mr. President, that was my next question. He said at the joint press conference that if, and you have said this many, many times, and he confirmed for the world today, that if you were president, this wouldn't have happened. Did any of the specifics come up as to why he said that?
It did. It doesn't matter at this point.
It
but
does.
That this war should never have happened. You know, a lot of wars should never have happened. There was stupid things go down, and the wrong people are talking. But Biden was a terrible president in so many ways. He should have never let it happen. And I was
so there it is, right? And politics, everybody as funny as this? I think so, yeah. I think it absolutely will be. This is going to continue.
Based on today, when you talk to Vladimir Zelensky, what's your advice to...
make a deal.
Make the deal.
Got to make a deal, yeah.
Based on today, when you talk to Vladimir Zelensky, what's your advice to...
make a deal.
Make the deal.
Got to make it.
They're giving up land. 100%. Trump's going to try to pressure Zelensky to give up land. I feel like that's 100% what's going to happen. Make a deal? Yeah, exactly. Like that's they have to? Yeah. I mean, I feel like, no, they won't. Well, I think that is going to be the deal. Because, like, I mean, logically, if it wasn't for that, wouldn't this have already been ended? Like with a NATO security agreement? Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah, do you think they will? I think that I don't know. And the reason why I don't know, here's the reason why I don't know. I don't speak their language. I don't read what they're thinking. I don't know what actual Ukrainians believe. Like, I see what people with Ukraine flags in their bio think. I see what they think on Twitter. Yeah, sure. But at the same time, that doesn't really polymarket. Yeah, it's because you don't know. Yeah, exactly. And so, but I don't know exactly like what are their... I think that eventually, and also it's very hard to know like where Russia is, because Russia's military and Russia's position is very opaque because of propaganda and controlled media. So it's very hard to get an idea of the way the Russian government really feels about this and the way the Russian people really feel about this, because all of that is going through the lens of some degree of censorship. So on one side, you don't even, well, really both sides, you don't know what the fuck they're saying, right? Number two, a lot of Russians are barred from the internet and they've gotten their accounts frozen and gotten banned. And so it's obvious, dude, come on. Well, it's really not obvious to me. I don't think it's so obvious. Don't reward aggression. You say that, but that's very easy for you to say don't reward aggression whenever it's not your family members and your houses getting blown up. It's easy for you to say, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. Oh, well, this is the wrong decision, because you don't have to live with the consequences of that decision. That's why I said it has to be their decision. It has to be theirs. You want to go to front lines, chatter? Crazy? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you think that you want to fight and that they shouldn't give up any land, then go join the Ukraine military. That's what I would say. If you reward the invader with land, they will come for more soon enough. I understand. Listen, you can make every appeasement argument and you can be right about every single one of them. But at a certain point, a country does get fatigued from war, and it will eventually probably cede land if the country that is invading it is powerful enough and resilient enough and persistent enough. They will. They will eventually give it away because they're sick of dying. Let's be honest, or cease to exist. Exactly. Yeah. Or they're going to kill everybody and eventually get it then. So I don't know, man. Yeah, it sucks. Welcome to reality. Yeah. I'm not even saying this is the way it should be, but I think this is the way it is. Why do you continue to say that giving up land will be enough for it to not happen in a year? The war is not about land. I think that for them it is. I definitely think for them it is. I don't know why somebody would say it's not. Do people really believe that? I don't know. Yeah, of course that's the reason. Yeah, I mean, it's not the only reason. Nobody said it's the only reason. I wouldn't say that. Of course not. Asma, not everything's pure black and white. There's always some difficulties. Also, this conflict started not just in 2022. It was a long time coming because Ukraine administration was risking Russia with borders joining and uniting with NATO, Europe. I understand that. I talked about that already. I've already discussed that point.
Making it really powerful and strong is amazing. And we've done that with many things. I love doing it. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol.
Wow.
And a year ago, he thought it was dead. Everybody thought it was dead.
Let me ask you this.
Isn't it convenient that Trump paraphrasing Putin's viewpoint on America just happens to be exactly the way with the exact vocabulary that Trump? What are the odds? You know, like, wow, that's crazy. Can you believe that? Do I support Trump? I support the president. I'll always support the president. Like, in my opinion, I don't know about, I really don't know. I think that there are so many complexities to this that the public doesn't know that really make it to where it's hard to make a decision and know what's really wrong and what's actually on the table and what's not. That's actually my viewpoint on this, is that I don't think that we know enough about it. You supported Biden as president? I did. And you can go back and find clips of me saying the same thing. Of course I supported Biden. I thought it was I thought it was very unfair. And, you know, Biden, for better or for worse, was a public servant for 50 years. And I think it was such a, you know, I remember Biden whenever he was the vice president. That guy used to be a firecracker. He used to be a badass. The thing is that imagine, like, the way Hunter Biden talks with, like, very strong conviction, and he's a good communicator. Imagine Hunter Biden with no crack. Oh my God. Yeah. No crack, no hookers, nothing. Yeah, he'd be OP. He was. Biden was OP. You have to remember that they brought Biden in to be Obama's vice president for the same reason that they brought Tim Walz in to be Kamala Harris's vice president. It's because it was a way to show all of the, you know, maybe skittish racist people, no. I know there's a black person. I know. But don't worry. Old Joe is there too, and everything's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. Yeah, the token. Yeah, exactly, right? And the backup plan, exactly. No, that's what it was. Because everybody knew him. Not everybody liked him, but Biden was, people might not remember this. Biden, especially as Barack Obama's vice president, was so well liked. A lot of people thought he was great. Like, and by the way, for no reason, really. He didn't even really do anything. It's just that he was photogenic, he had a great smile, and he was charismatic. That was it. And he was good at talking. It's not like this guy really did anything super amazing. It's just people like, oh, look at him, he's a nice guy. Well, yeah, it's that guy. Here's the great Gramps. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, the dude was wholesome. Yeah, exactly. And so, I forgot even where I was going. Why am I even talking about this? Why are you talking about this? Oh, yeah, about the president. So, yes, I 100% supported Biden as president. Absolutely. I would not want Biden to fail. That would mean the country would fail. Yeah, and by the way, I probably should go back and ban the person who asked that question, because you're not really asking that question. You're making an accusation. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Let me see if I can find it and pick up the rest of these here, too. Yeah, oh, yeah. You think you're going to play games? You're trying to play games, huh? Okay, the Hillary clip. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. He did talk a little bit about Hillary Clinton. Here we go.
Do you ever think Hillary Clinton, the author of the bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier, the author of the Russia hoax, going into today?
You can see how happy he is that he's saying it the way that Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
to today would be saying she would nominate you for a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think you ever expected that happening.
Well, you know, I don't want to be involved in that, in the sense, not because of her. It's very nice. If she said that, that's very nice. I really appreciate it, too.
Wait, Hillary Clinton said Trump. Wait, what? Hillary Clinton will nominate Trump?
Well, you know, I don't want to be involved in that, in the sense, not because of her. It's very nice. If she said that, that's very nice. I really appreciate it, too, actually. But
she tried to ruin your life, and in many ways, she ruined 3 years of your life.
Well,
yeah, it's just the way it goes.
Well, she made me stronger and tough.
One thing that I do like about Trump is that even when somebody tries to totally fuck him over, he doesn't, like, he takes it personally, but he doesn't at the same time, because he's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I did done the same thing. Yep.
And
it's the game.
You know,
yeah, it's the game.
You are way more forgiving than me. Do you ever think Hillary?
Well, no, and you notice this with Trump is that Trump never shits on people that are nice to him. He does, even if it's Hillary. So she's talking about giving.
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
We are on the precipice of a meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska. Drawing on your experience.
Wait a second. Let me see. Just wait a minute. I've got to look something up here. What day is Hillary Clinton's day that she has to talk to the government about the Epstein files? It's in October, right? I think it's like October 10th or something. October 9th. So she's got a little bit under 2 months. Man. Huh.
Trump and President Putin in Alaska. Drawing on your experience as Secretary of State, if you were en route to Alaska, what would you be looking to get? What does an acceptable deal look like?
He is not meeting with a friend. He is meeting with an adversary, and an adversary who wants to see the destruction of the United States and the West.
I actually think that this rhetoric from Hillary Clinton is one of the biggest reasons why she lost the 2016 election. I think that Americans, especially in 2016, were so fatigued from being at war and at odds with some sort of foreign power in another fucking country on another continent that we were just like, no, bitch, just stop. Just stop. No, we don't want a war with Russia. We don't want to fucking fight with Russia. What is this? People were just tired. Yeah, fatigued. Yeah, war fatigue. Because you remember 2016 was like right at the end, and it was still going on with Middle East incursions.
Alliance. But if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin to make it clear there must be a ceasefire, there will be no exchange of territory,
There's no way.
and that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
October 9th. Big day. Big day for Hillary Clinton. So unrealistic? Yeah. Really big day. And so she folded, and First Lady do politics? Yeah, I guess so. And Yeah, will never happen. I don't think that it's going to happen either. I really don't think so. But, we'll see what happens.
Overall, during his time as president, the first term and now is amazing. By the way, Joey, this president probably should have received a Nobel Peace Prize during his first term in office for the historic Abraham Accords.
So there's another one.
Much like ending the war between Russia and Ukraine, that people said was impossible.
She's rep farming.
Never get I
would be too.
Donald Trump got that done during the first term in office.
The thing is that I think that she realizes that Trump might need a few sacrificial lambs to be able to run for the third term. Because I do genuinely believe this. This isn't like a meme or anything like that. I think that if Trump was able to uncover sufficient evidence that placed a tremendous amount of people in jail that were business leaders or other forms of heads of state or Congress people, and he ended up putting those people in jail or trying them for treason or worse than that, I think that that would give him so much credibility that he would be able to run for and win a third term. I think it would happen. Straight up. No shot. Okay. Okay. That's my opinion. He's too old. Would you be okay with the third term? No, I think you should let somebody else do it. I mean, he could still be involved, right? I mean, like he could have a position, or he could, work outside of the White House to help. But no, I don't want that to happen. First step towards dictatorship, though. Well, I'm not saying, the thing is that I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying I think that would give him the political capital to run for a third term.
First 6 months
think it would happen.
in office, Donald Trump has ended 6 wars and conflicts around the world. Some of them lasted 5 days, like between
75.
Thailand
He's
and
79.
Cambodia. Some lasted 40 years, like the Azerbaijan-Armenia one that we recently saw happen at the White House. This is a president who can get it done and make it happen. And look, Hillary may want to stack up, Joey, quite a few more Nobel Peace Prizes that President Trump is probably due at the end of his time in office, because this is the president of peace. This is the person who I believe peace through strength will see a result of an end to this conflict.
We need 3 terms. He's on speed run for peace on earth. If Trump ends all the wars, that would be very upsetting. Then what are you going to do? Like, where are we going to sell all of our bombs? What's going to happen? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this, bro. Like, yeah. He hasn't ended shit. I think that it's undeniable that Trump played an instrumental role in ending certain wars and conflicts. I like the Rwanda genocide, I would say, is just a universal W. Like that, which one's that? That's one right there. Also, I don't think that it's a coincidence that, yeah, India and Pakistan, yeah. Well, I mean, India says he didn't help. Pakistan wanted to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. So who are you going to believe there? I mean, really, Pakistan probably shouldn't believe them because they were posting video game footage. I would believe India first. But, that being said, yeah, I would definitely believe India. But that being said, they did do that. And multiple wars in Africa. Yeah, and also, I don't think that it's a coincidence that after they bombed all those nuclear sites in Iran, all those, that war and the attacking Israel stuff kind of stopped. Wasn't that interesting? Just, whoa, it's gone. Where'd it go? I wonder.
The last time there was a meeting this highly anticipated between the leaders of the United States and Russia, President Trump set off an earthquake with what he said as he stood shoulder to shoulder with the Russian president after they had emerged from hours behind closed doors in Helsinki. But this time here in Anchorage at this hastily arranged summit in Alaska, the major fallout tonight is because of what wasn't said.
Iran's running out of water now? Don't they get their water from Israel?
That
I think they do.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say. A couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up.
It's like, all right, so this is what you're going to lose. Get your map out, get a red marker. Okay, all right, so go over to the east side of your country. All right, and so... all right, start the line. Oh, God. A ruler, that's God. Yep, there it is. You play too much? I know. It's probably, I shouldn't be joking around like that. But, like, that's what I think is going to happen. The east side only, the whole thing. Oh, they want the whole thing. Don't laugh. You know what's going to happen. I think it will.
To them, they're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe, thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
The president there mentioning several of his senior staff, but no mention of a ceasefire or severe sanctions that he had promised if things didn't go the way he had expected them to today. So what exactly did happen in that room is something that we are starting to piece together tonight, as the president, for his part, tried to spin it.
Do you guys agree with me about this, by the way? Like the analysis that I think that that's probably the only way they're going to get a ceasefire is if they give up land? Like, that's what I think is going to happen. So Trump tells Ukraine to give up land. Zelensky refuses. Trump pressures the EU to stop delivering weapons to Ukraine. I think this will happen. Give me a minute. What is this here? So we got somebody that you getting real mad. Russia want to fight you, so too bad. This war won't stop by giving land, smartass. He's showing other communist countries you can attack Europe. The war will come to you. You're getting too emotionally invested in this. You're getting too emotionally invested. I get that, like, you know, like we talk about things that people are going to get attached to and they're going to get mad about, etc. But I think that I've made my position on this pretty clear. So, like, if you're going to get this mad, I mean, I don't want to deal with that. Why would anybody want to deal with that? That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even say that. What do you mean?
Good.
You get mad over nothing, bro.
I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened.
Ho's mad, as always.
Extremely productive meeting.
What else is new?
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not
like the
that
big
significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
The president making clear there that no deal with Putin was reached on a ceasefire.
What a
he just
surprise.
left Anchorage a few moments ago without what he had wanted in hand there. This day began with plenty of pomp and somewhat awkward circumstances as American service members who were in uniform quite literally rolled out the red carpet for someone who for years has been a global pariah.
That's right.
President Trump was greeting President Putin with a hearty handshake and a ride to the meeting in the Beast. Just the two of them, as you can see here. That was apparently the only time it was just the two of them together. There was about
put the fucking phone book away. Quit flipping it around.
Minutes or so from what we judged from when they got in the car
to
when they got out. And then that came after the United States changed things up at the last minute to the schedule. What was expected to be a one-on-one that included two advisors each in the room, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in there with the U.S. President. The two leaders were here on the ground for about a total of 6 hours, and the Russian leader seemed quite happy to keep kicking the can down the road when it comes to getting a peace deal in Ukraine. As he mentioned, his long-serving grievances that he has had when it comes to his war in Ukraine. And at the end, he said he had an idea for the next meeting that he could have with President Trump.
So
this is going to be, bro,
again,
if
Mr.
Trump
President,
goes
I'd like
to
thank
Moscow.
you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening.
My lead sources are here to start me off tonight in Anchorage. CNN Chief National Security.
I think that he should do it. I do. I think he should do it. No, I would do it. If I was him, I'd do it. And if I thought it would move the needle, I would do it.
Security analyst Jim Sciutto is here. Also, former CNN Moscow bureau chief Jill Doherty is joining us. And Jill, I'll get to you because I can't wait to hear your thoughts on what you saw playing out. But Jim, watching that and listening to
you went to North Korea?
I mean, we were in the room. There was.
By the way, I'm still behind the idea of turning North Korea into super jail. I think this is the future, because North Korea, they're in kind of like a really tight spot, right? And they're not doing anything. And so because they already are really good at oppressing and killing their own people, right? So having them oppress and kill potentially, prisoners that are getting out of line, I feel like they don't even need to do any training for that. It's fucking easy. They already know how to do this. So we should have a thing where everybody in the world sends all of their bad boys to North Korea. And that's it. It's the international super jail. Monopolized world jail. Yes, exactly. That's what I would want to see. Just airdropping people? Exactly, right? And yes, that could bring North Korea back into the world economy. By the way, I'm not even entirely joking about this. I'm not. 2% prison for the world? South Korea would be against it? Want it to be united again? Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea.
Sense of anticipation.
Asian Alcatraz. Imagine he calls it that. Oh, God.
Moved us pretty quickly to our seats. And then, as both of them had pretty short remarks, which, as you know, is not typical for either of them, we were prepared to take questions. We were standing up, shouting questions, and Trump then turned and left the stage with Putin. I wonder what that says to you.
Well, listen, by President Trump's own measure of success for this summit, it was a failure because he wanted a ceasefire. He didn't get a ceasefire, didn't announce it there. Is it possible over the next several days, weeks, we see one?
I think that there is no universe where a ceasefire would have been announced immediately after the meeting, because they would very clearly have to talk to people in Ukraine and people in Europe. The earliest you're going to hear about anything, if this was actually productive, you're probably not going to hear about it until the end of this week, or maybe next week. 2 weeks? Yeah, logistically, he was never, there was never a universe where he was going to come out and say that day last night, it's over, guys, the war's done.
Yes, but he didn't get it in this meeting. No one begrudges his efforts to do so, the least of whom the Ukrainian people who are desperate for peace, right, to end the onslaught they've been suffering through these years. But he didn't, in this moment, move President Putin off his core interests and demands by force of personality and presence alone, which seemed to be Trump's calculation going into this, that if I could just get into a room with him face to face, I can bring us to a deal. And that didn't work in the moment. And you heard that in President Putin's comments prior to President Trump speaking, repeating these phrases we've heard from the beginning. One, address the root causes of the war.
Yeah, the second he said root causes.
It's code for...
It's code for it's not going to stop. Yep.
Your fault I invaded, right? I invaded with justification, threat from the West, NATO, etc. And the other familiar phrase is addressed core interests of Russia, core national security interests. And again...
It's not maybe Trump failed. Trump literally said in an interview before the meeting, this will not result in a ceasefire. I don't think it would either. I mean, obviously, the negotiations that they're doing... I mean, anybody, again, it's just it's cheap, dumb, rhetoric to say, oh, yeah, you're immediately going to get a whole ceasefire after one meeting. That was never in the cards. It was never going to happen. Nobody would have, anybody thinking that would have happened is retarded.
His judgment, that is, an independent, free, westward-leaning Ukraine is a threat to Russia, and he doesn't want that to happen. So.
And there was a comment that he made about basically hoping European leaders don't torpedo whatever it is that they agreed to. I mean, they never really laid out what it was. But clearly, I'm assuming by that it crosses some red lines that European leaders have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that the fear I heard from European officials prior to this meeting was that Trump might make a deal over Ukraine's head and over Europe's head, right? Might agree to something that they weren't comfortable with, and that didn't happen. And Trump did say,
well, he
I'm going
can't.
to check in with my allies at NATO
he
and
can't
with
do
the
that.
Ukrainian
If he could,
president.
he would.
And he did say as well,
if he could have made a deal, I think that if Trump could have pushed a button and just given Putin a percentage of Ukraine and just called it a W and moved on, I think he would have pushed the button. I do. I think he would have. I think if he could have done that, he would have done it.
that no land swaps are going to happen without Ukraine, in effect, approving that decision. So the worst fears of many on that side of the Atlantic did not come out, but the president's hopes certainly were not realized either.
Jill Doherty, you're our former Moscow bureau chief. How do you think Putin's leaving this meeting feeling? What are the Russians talking about on their flight back
You're
right now?
confusing ceasefire with peace deal? There would be no reason for a ceasefire if a peace deal wasn't imminent. The entire idea of a ceasefire is to negotiate a peace deal.
How do you think?
Well, I mean, he leaves a happy man. Things look good. The pomp and circumstance that you referred to, the Russians love it. I think they're perceiving this as a win for Mr. Putin. There were a couple of hints, though, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of Russians that support the Ukraine war, like a very large percentage. I mean, I think that it's not really that big of a surprise considering they have propaganda media, but a lot of them do support it. Some people are using the phrase 80 or the term 80% of them support it. I'm not sure if that's true.
Get into the substance as opposed to the cosmetics. He did talk about root causes, and no question, and that is a red flag. But there were a couple of kind
Russia,
of
that's not
cryptic
true.
comments about working on security issues. Not quite sure exactly what he meant. And if I heard him correctly, he talked about not throwing a wrench into anything.
Yeah.
So there may be something in that, you know, if you put that together with the Europeans.
It's interesting to hear the comments and the replies to what I said a minute ago. Some people are saying everybody I know is for it. Other people are saying everybody I know is against it. So I think it could just be, echo chambers and like different bubbles that people are in. It's hard to say.
Europeans are supposed to, as kind of the coalition of the willing, provide some type of forces that would be kind of peacekeepers or at least minders. And I don't know, we'll have to hear the details. But overall, I think Putin came here and got exactly what he wanted, which is kicking the can down the road, no real definition, and really not changing that root cause that he constantly talks about.
Yeah, Jill Doherty, Jim Sciutto, thank you for that expert analysis.
He has to have a root cause that he's referring to and oppositional to, because in doing so, it removes the accountability from him from invading. So if there's a reason for him to invade, he wasn't really invading, he was responding to an existential threat. So he's never going to get rid of the idea of there being a root cause, because politically it would make him look like he would be admitting that he's the aggressor. Like that's really what I think.
I also want to check in Ukraine. That's where CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is live in Kyiv right now. Obviously, you know, Nick, we were leaving the military base where Trump and Putin met just a few moments ago. We watched Putin take off, and then we watched Air Force One take off. I mean,
by the way, some people are talking about expert analysis. I want to let you know that almost all of my viewpoints and my perspectives on these issues are informed by tweets that I read, and I just think about it. Yeah, it's about it. Most of my sources I just generally make up. Now, they turn out to be right in the long term, but at the beginning, I just pretty much make it up. Yeah, tweets and vibes. Yeah. And it turns out to be right, but, there it is. Expert analysis. Well, the thing is that, hey, if all this expert analysis was working, why the fuck are we still in a war? Obviously, it doesn't matter how much of a fucking... If you're such an expert, then why can't you figure out a solution? Well, maybe because you don't know what you're doing. The vibe train? Yeah, as with most things, I just make it up. Yep, just make it up. Expert analysis way off? Well, I think it's been accurate. I guess we're going to find out on Monday, right? We're going to find out.
Presumably, Trump is calling Zelensky from this flight back to Washington, but have you heard any reaction there so far to what they made of today's summit and how abruptly it ended?
No, I mean, obviously it's incredibly late here, but at the same time, utter silence. You may imagine that call could potentially happen later. Look, I think it's important to remember some of the things Trump said seem to suggest that there was an element of a deal or some kind of idea that he had to put to Zelensky, because he said it's going to be up to Zelensky how he feels about
obviously
that.
It's
something
up
he
to
also
him.
needed to explain to the Europeans, but you could just tell from his posture, his gestures, he didn't think he was going to see much success there. So it feels to me potentially like Putin may have suggested some sort of proposal, some kind of peace idea that Trump immediately knew wasn't going to get off the ground at all. We'll probably hear more details about that tomorrow. That may also explain Putin's sort of slightly threatening comments and making sure that Europe didn't get in the way of progress on this particular front. But look, there's one big victory for Putin here outside of the clear rehabilitation.
The only solution is to exhaust Russia so they can't fight anymore. There is no other option. No ceasefire or end will come until they satisfy all sides. I think that I generally agree with you. I would rather that than give up the land, but that decision I think should be for Ukrainians to make, not me.
On the world stage that made many Ukrainians grimace as they saw him being given a red carpet welcome, sitting side by side inside the beast with President Trump. And that's time. Now, I can't stress how significant it is if Putin is able to find himself another month or two to stave off secondary sanctions that clearly had an impact on Moscow's thinking after the Indians and the Chinese rang Putin ahead of those sanctions potentially coming into play.
That's the energy stuff.
And then he agreed to this bilateral meeting. Time is important day by day, and that's the pace at which villages are changing hands. Places, you've never heard of, but slowly the more of them that fall to Russia, the more potential there is for a strategic change along the front line. And so the Donetsk region, which many felt was something Steve Witkoff, US Special Envoy, was told by the Kremlin that they wanted to see Ukraine voluntarily withdraw from for a ceasefire. Well, week by week, that's increasingly in Russian hands. We're unclear when the tipping point's going to be, but there are a number of key towns along the front line that are under intense Russian pressure right now.
Yeah, those are the people that really are probably going to be looking for peace, even if it means giving up land. I'm sure some of them are already feeling that way. And I think that's really what's going to happen, right? Will the will of the Ukrainian people break faster than the Russian military? I don't know.
Need till the end of September or early October to make wider effect here, some of his military advances, and he certainly seems to have bought himself more time here, Caitlin.
So we understand they're about
to... so there it is. She's blinking in Morse code. Is that it? And Ukraine does have massive backing from the EU. Yeah, I know that, but there's still, you're having a lot of people from Ukraine that are still getting killed. At the end of the day, even if they come out ahead, they're still getting all of their guys killed. That's not a good time for them. That's not like a win condition for them. Now, I'll watch one more about this, and I want to move on and look at some other stuff, too.
All right, we are broadcasting from Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson. We are in Anchorage, Alaska. Joining us now with reaction to today's historic meeting are Senators Tom Cotton, Arkansas, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina. Lindsey, start with you. A couple of things really stand out to me. Vladimir Putin saying to the world, this war never would have happened had Donald Trump been president. Donald Trump, scale of 1 to 10, gives it a 10.
Wow.
I took a lot away from this interview. Your thoughts?
Number one, I don't really care what. I blame Putin more than anybody else for starting the war. I want to be clear about that.
True.
But let me tell you, I've never been more hopeful this war can end honorably and justly than I am right now. The news you made in this interview, to me, is earth-shattering. President Trump said that Putin wants him to meet with Zelensky. That Putin is now apparently agreeing to a trilateral meeting between Putin, Zelensky, and Trump.
I think that privately Putin is probably wanting to end the war. I do. I think so. I think that it's made the country look weak. And I think it's exhausted a lot of their military, and it's cost them a bunch of money. Now, he would probably never publicly say this. But, like, yeah, I bet he wants it over.
Biggest breakthrough of the night. I've never heard that before. If we have that meeting, I think there will be an honorable and just end of this.
But he can't.
War before Christmas, well before Christmas. If that meeting doesn't come about, then I think Trump's going to have to use severe consequences against Putin and those who buy his oil and gas.
Yeah, that's what they really want to do. They want to impose secondary sanctions on countries that are doing business with Russia, primarily China and India. Now, I don't know how that's going to go. I think badly, personally, especially if it happens to China. I think it's just going to be another one of those fucking trade wars.
Senator Cotton, what was your big takeaways of this?
Yeah, Sean, I agree. That would be a very critical meeting between Presidents Trump, Putin, and Zelensky.
Yeah.
There's no ceasefire coming out of this meeting today. But also, I thought President Trump stood firm in defense of U.S. interests and also our friends in Europe and Ukraine. This is in contrast, for instance, to Joe Biden's summit with Vladimir Putin in the summer of 2021.
Who?
In just 2 months, we saw the collapse of Kabul, and then 2 months after that, we saw Vladimir Putin begin to mass forces on Ukraine's border.
It is crazy that they put a corpse up for president for 4 years. And it's like, we had this happen with Roosevelt before, but Eleanor Roosevelt was able to kind of keep shit under control. Isn't it crazy that she was able to do a better job than Biden's entire cabinet, it seems? It's pretty fucking embarrassing, to be honest.
So I think it was an inconclusive meeting.
I think the same thing happened with Woodrow Wilson.
And as Lindsay said, if that leads to direct negotiations between the presidents of Ukraine and Russia, I think we'd be in a position to have a durable and stable peace that protects Ukraine's territory, autonomy, and sovereignty, and allows it to build for its future.
No.
Yeah.
No, he
Senator
wasn't.
Cotton, the president was kind of clear in the lead up to this meeting. He did not overpromise and underdeliver here. He did not say he was going to negotiate a peace settlement. He said he was here to see if there was a path.
They did ask him, like, what would a success look like, and he said, a ceasefire. They did ask him that, but that could have been taken out of context as well.
Forward. Clearly, he believes that there is. Apparently, based on everything that I heard and read that Vladimir Putin said, I was in the room at the time. I don't understand or speak Russian, but having a readout of it, it seems like he feels that there is a path forward and wants President Trump to be a part of it. That was the stated purpose, was it not?
Yes, Sean. I think the president appropriately set and measured expectations for the meeting. Vladimir Putin has been waging this war of aggression for 3.5 years now. I think the first step is going to be a ceasefire. We didn't have that today, but hopefully in the weeks ahead, especially if the presidents of Ukraine and Russia can sit down, there'll be a ceasefire, which can stop the killing at least temporarily, and then move on to that durable peace settlement. I think this was an important first step. Again, President Trump said he didn't expect to have any kind of...
It just reminds me of when fucking Israel sent their bombs to blow up like 2 minutes before the ceasefire started. Oh, God. Are you kidding me?
Your breakthrough today.
Free balling, yeah.
Hope that it would set some groundwork for future talks, and it sounds like that's what happened.
What timing? I guess so.
Yeah. Senator Graham, what would you like to see as next
Legal
steps?
move.
I did bring up with the president, I said, in most people's minds, and you had made similar comments that there's going to be land swaps. There probably will be, I would assume, the Donbass region, which is about 80% Russian national, will remain with Russia.
This is what I was talking about before. Yeah.
But what Ukraine is obviously going to want out of this more than anything else, they have got to have security guarantees, non-NATO related, And that would mean, obviously...
Didn't they get security guarantees in, like, what was it, 1994, whenever they gave up nukes? I thought this already happened. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but, like, that's what I remember.
Good relationship with the United States.
Yeah, they did? Huh. So they're going to get another one of those? Huh. How about that?
Ability to purchase weapons, and of course, Europe is going to have to step up.
Yeah. Well, the infrastructure of deterrence is what Biden and Obama failed to deliver. When Putin invaded in 2014 and 2022, on Obama and Biden's watch, there was no telling Putin, you better not do it again. I have all the confidence in the world that Donald Trump will make it clear to Putin, this war will never start again. If it does, you're going to pay a heavy price. Security guarantees for Ukraine. So if Putin invades in the future, he'll be fighting a coalition of the willing, just not Ukraine. That American weapons will flow to the Ukrainian military in perpetuity. They'll have the strongest army on the continent of Europe. That will have pre-invasion sanctions to hit Putin if he ever does this again. There will be land swaps. You can't evict.
He doesn't need to worry about that. Putin's president for life. Trump's president for 3, maybe 7 more years. He's just going to wait till somebody else is in office and do it then.
Russians, but the Ukrainians will make that deal, not the United States. Ukraine will make that deal, and Trump set in motion the end of this war. Now, I've never been more optimistic than I am right now. Tom is right. There's no ceasefire. But when Trump told you, and this is breaking news as far as I'm concerned, that Putin wants to meet with me and Zelensky, that sets in motion an end of the war. And let me tell you this. If he does meet with Putin, Zelensky, and Trump, and there's no end of this war, Trump will crush the Russian economy.
Well, I think that's what the president said. There'd be dire consequences if, in fact, you know, this meeting did not go well today. That's not happening. And he even went a little step further.
By preventing and sanctioning other countries and adding in tremendous costs and risks with buying Russian energy. That's the strategy. I'm not saying this would work, but I'm saying, like, what is he talking about? That's what he's talking about.
When he said he didn't think he had to go back to China in terms of their import of oil. Let's go back, Senator
I'm just
Cotton.
saying, like, that's what
remember, Crimea was under Obama and Biden.
Yeah, how'd that go?
As Putin was amassing troops on the Ukrainian border in 2021, troops and military equipment, Joe Biden never picked up a phone, never called Vladimir Putin.
He probably forgot the phone number.
You know, famously said, "Don't." That was echoed by Kamala Harris. And then of course, well, what happens if, well, it depends if it's a minor incursion. You know, Donald Trump is involving himself pretty much in every conflict around the world. He explained that when he's talking about trade with these countries, he's also...
do not. Well, the thing is that what if he actually had something he was going to say, but he just forgot it? So he's like, just don't.
Talking peace with these countries. There's really not a, you know, the trade deals obviously impact the United States. Peace in the world just saves lives, and he seems heavily invested in it. And I don't think a lot of world leaders are willing to expend the political capital to do that.
No, I don't think so either, Sean. You know, strength and resolution matters tremendously in the conduct of foreign policy and national security, and you put it well. Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine when Barack Obama was president. He did it again when Joe Biden was president. He seems to do it when Democrats are president because they are weak and irresolute. But as he himself said today, he didn't do it when President Trump was in his first term, and he takes President Trump seriously today. That's the kind of strength and resolution that we need, not just in Ukraine, but we saw in Iran, we see in the war in Gaza, and that we've seen in these trade negotiations as well.
This guy
it makes a big difference to have a strong president back in the White House.
Yeah.
All right, Senator Cotton, Senator Graham, thank you both for being with us tonight. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Remember when Visa MasterCard banned Russia, preventing Russians from saving their money, confiscation, and taking it out of the country to ruin Russia? Yeah, I know that they got banned from a lot of places like that, but I'm not sure exactly how all that happened. I remember the day it happened. I don't remember the details, though. And it's all just a big show, banners and Jess set up for pictures. They're not buying all this. I think that you're going to have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of days. That's really what is going to be determining, like, I think the future of this, right? It's going to be this meeting, the Zelensky meeting. When that happens, then we're really going to see, I think, things change.